Imagine waking up one morning, not with the weight of regret pressing down on your chest, but with an unshakable sense that today is the day everything shifts. You feel it deep in your soul, a quiet yet electric buzz telling you that you're ready to take control of your life, to rewrite your story, and to become the person you've always dreamed of being. What if I told you that this isn't some far-off fantasy? It's within your grasp, starting right now. Change doesn't have to be overwhelming or intimidating. In fact, it begins with something as simple as deciding to make one small improvement today. That single decision can ripple through your life, creating waves of transformation you never thought possible. But how do we get there? How do we turn fleeting motivation into lasting momentum? Let's dive into the heart of what makes real, sustainable growth happen, and why taking those first steps matters more than anything else. The power of small beginnings. Every monumental achievement starts with a tiny spark. Think about the seedling breaking through the soil. It doesn't burst forth fully grown, it grows steadily, nourished by sunlight and water over time. Similarly, when you decide to improve your life, whether it's adopting healthier habits, incorporating exercise, or simply organizing your space better, the key lies in starting small. Why? Because big leaps often lead to burnout, while gradual progress builds resilience. Let me share a story. There was once someone who felt trapped in a cycle of unhealthy eating and sluggishness. They knew they wanted to change but were paralyzed by the enormity of the task ahead. Instead of trying to overhaul their entire lifestyle overnight, they committed to drinking 1 glass of water every morning before breakfast. At first, it seemed insignificant, just a drop in the ocean of change, but soon, that habit snowballed. With each passing week, they added another small habit, swapping soda for herbal tea, taking a 10-minute walk after dinner, even experimenting with new recipes. Before long, these incremental changes transformed not just their physical health but their mindset too. They began seeing themselves as capable, disciplined, and worthy of self-care. This is the magic of starting small. When you focus on manageable adjustments, you set yourself up for success without feeling overwhelmed. And here's the beautiful part, as you build confidence with each victory, no matter how minor it may seem, you naturally crave bigger challenges. This creates a virtuous cycle of growth, where each step forward fuels the next. Tracking your progress, a beacon of motivation. While small changes lay the foundation for transformation, tracking your progress acts as the guiding light that keeps you moving forward. Imagine embarking on a road trip without a map or GPS. Sure, you might eventually reach your destination, but the journey would be fraught with detours, confusion, and frustration. Tracking your habits serves as your personal navigation system, ensuring you stay on course toward your goals. There are countless ways to monitor your progress, from using a simple habit tracker to jotting notes in a journal or leveraging apps designed to keep you accountable. Personally, I recommend finding a method that resonates with you emotionally, not just practically. For instance, if you love tactile experiences, try designing a colorful chart where you mark off completed tasks. If you're tech-savvy, explore digital tools that offer visual representations of your achievements. Whatever approach you choose, make it meaningful to you. Here's why tracking works so well: it provides a tangible reminder of how far you've come. On days when doubt creeps in, and trust me, it will, looking back at your consistent efforts can reignite your motivation. Remember our friend from earlier? As they tracked their daily water intake, walks, and meal prep sessions, they noticed patterns emerging. Some weeks were stronger than others, but the overall trajectory pointed upward. Seeing this visual proof reinforced their belief in their ability to succeed. But beyond accountability, tracking also taps into the psychology of reward. Each checkmark or milestone achieved releases a little burst of dopamine, that feel-good hormone, making the process enjoyable rather than burdensome. Over time, this positive reinforcement strengthens your commitment, turning discipline into joy. Setting high standards, the blueprint for growth. Now that we've established the importance of small beginnings and consistent tracking, let's talk about raising the bar. Setting high standards isn't about chasing perfection, it's about embracing excellence. Excellence means striving to be the best version of yourself, not because someone else demands it, but because you owe it to yourself to live authentically and purposefully. Think about the difference between settling for mediocrity and pushing past comfort zones. Which path leads to fulfillment? The answer is clear. When you set ambitious yet realistic standards, you create a framework for continuous improvement. These standards act as guardrails, keeping you aligned with your values and aspirations. For example, consider someone who dreams of becoming a skilled writer. Their initial goal might be to write 200 words per day. Over time, they raise the bar, aiming for 500 words, then 1,000. Along the way, they refine their craft, seek feedback, and challenge themselves to tackle complex topics. By holding themselves to increasingly higher standards, they evolve from a novice scribbler to a confident storyteller. Of course, setting high standards requires courage. It means stepping outside your comfort zone and confronting fears of failure. But here's the truth, fear is a natural companion on the journey to greatness. Don't let it paralyze you, use it as fuel. Every time you push through discomfort, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you imagined. Consistency over perfection, the key to long-term success. If there's one lesson I want you to take away from this chapter, it's this: consistency beats perfection every single time. Too many people fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment to start, only to find that moment never arrives. Meanwhile, those who embrace imperfection and focus on steady effort achieve remarkable results. Consider the analogy of planting a garden. You wouldn't expect flowers to bloom immediately after sowing seeds, would you? No, you nurture them patiently, watering them regularly, pulling weeds, and trusting the process. Growth takes time, and the same principle applies to personal development. To cultivate consistency, break your larger goals into bite-sized actions. Want to read more books? Commit to reading 5 pages a day. Hoping to learn a musical instrument? Practice for 10 minutes daily. These seemingly modest efforts compound over time, leading to extraordinary outcomes. And remember, setbacks are inevitable. There will be days when life gets in the way, and you miss a workout or forget to meditate. That's okay. What separates successful individuals from everyone else is their willingness to pick themselves back up and keep going. Progress isn't linear, it's messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful. But it's also beautiful, rewarding, and deeply fulfilling. Closing thoughts: start today, transform tomorrow. As we wrap up this chapter, I want to leave you with a final thought: the power to transform your life rests squarely in your hands. Not tomorrow, not next month, but today. You don't need special talents, endless resources, or ideal circumstances to begin. All you need is the courage to take that first step, however small it may be. So ask yourself, what's one thing you can improve today? Maybe it's drinking an extra glass of water, spending 5 minutes stretching, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Whatever it is, commit to it wholeheartedly. Trust that these tiny actions will accumulate into something extraordinary. In the next chapter, we'll explore the art of building routines that serve you, routines that empower you to thrive, not just survive. Until then, carry this message with you: you are capable of incredible things. Believe it, act on it, and watch your world transform. The ripple effect of focus. Focus isn't just a tool, it's a superpower. When you direct your attention to what truly matters, you create a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. Think of it like planting seeds in fertile soil. Every thought you nurture, every decision you prioritize, grows into something meaningful. But here's the catch: if you scatter your energy across too many things, none of them will thrive. Let me share a story about someone who learned this lesson the hard way. For years, they felt pulled in countless directions, juggling work demands, family obligations, social pressures, and personal ambitions. They tried to do everything, but ended up feeling drained and unfulfilled. One day, they decided enough was enough. They sat down, took stock of their priorities, and asked themselves one simple question: what truly matters most to me? From that moment on, they began channeling their energy into the areas that aligned with their values and goals. Instead of spreading themselves thin, they focused on building deeper relationships, pursuing passions they'd neglected, and setting boundaries to protect their time. Slowly but surely, their life transformed. Not only did they achieve greater success, but they also found peace amidst the noise, a clarity that came from knowing where to invest their efforts. This is the essence of focus, identifying what matters most and giving it your all. It's not about doing more, it's about doing better. And when you commit to focusing on what truly serves you, the rest falls into place. Building a routine that supports your vision. One of the most effective ways to sharpen your focus is by designing a routine that aligns with your goals. A well-crafted routine acts as scaffolding, supporting your efforts and keeping you on track even when motivation wanes. Without structure, it's easy to get sidetracked by distractions or lose sight of your priorities. Imagine waking up each morning with a clear plan for the day ahead. You start with a ritual that energizes you, perhaps journaling, meditating, or exercising, and then move seamlessly into tasks that bring you closer to your dreams. Sounds idyllic, right? Well, it's entirely possible, if you're intentional about creating routines that serve you. For example, consider someone who wanted to write a book. At first, they struggled to find time between work, family, and other commitments. Then, they implemented a morning writing routine, dedicating just 30 minutes a day to putting pen to paper, or fingers to keyboard. Over time, those small bursts of effort added up, and before they knew it, they had completed a manuscript. The key to building a supportive routine lies in customization. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, it's about finding what works best for you. Experiment with different schedules, tools, and techniques until you discover what feels sustainable and fulfilling. Whether it's using time-blocking methods like the Pomodoro technique or setting daily intentions, the goal is to create a system that empowers you to stay focused and productive. Discipline, the backbone of success. While focus provides direction, discipline ensures momentum. Discipline is often misunderstood as rigid self-control or deprivation, but in reality, it's about making choices that align with your long-term vision, even when it's uncomfortable. It's the ability to resist short-term gratification in favor of lasting rewards. Think about someone training for a marathon. They could easily skip a workout after a long day, rationalizing that one missed session won't hurt. But disciplined individuals understand that consistency is non-negotiable. Each run, no matter how challenging, brings them closer to crossing the finish line. Cultivating discipline requires practice and patience. Start small by committing to manageable actions, such as reading 10 pages of a book each night or going to bed an hour earlier. As these behaviors become habits, they lay the groundwork for bigger achievements. Over time, discipline becomes second nature, a natural extension of who you are and how you approach life. But let's be honest, discipline isn't always glamorous. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up, when the allure of instant pleasure threatens to derail your progress. On those days, remind yourself why you started. Reconnect with your purpose, and let it fuel your resolve. Remember, discipline isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Eliminating what doesn't add value. Another critical aspect of focusing on what matters is learning to eliminate what doesn't. Life is full of distractions, people, possessions, activities, and even thoughts, that drain our energy and dilute our efforts. To truly harness the power of focus, you must declutter your world and make space for what truly enriches your life. Consider someone overwhelmed by clutter in their home. Despite their best intentions, they couldn't seem to stay organized or motivated. Then, they embarked on a minimalist journey, donating unused items, organizing their spaces, and adopting a less is more mindset. The result? A renewed sense of clarity and calm. Their physical environment reflected their mental state, allowing them to focus on what mattered most. The same principle applies to relationships, habits, and commitments. Are there toxic friendships dragging you down? Activities consuming your time without adding value? Limiting beliefs holding you back? Let go of anything that doesn't align with your vision for the future. This process may feel daunting at first, but trust me, it's liberating. By eliminating what doesn't serve you, you free up valuable resources, time, energy, and attention, to pour into your dreams. Every item you remove from your plate makes room for something better. Overcoming doubt and staying consistent. Even the most focused individuals face moments of doubt. Progress rarely follows a straight line, and setbacks are inevitable. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up lies in how they respond to adversity. When doubt creeps in, it's tempting to question whether you're capable, whether your efforts are worth it, or whether you should abandon ship altogether. But here's the truth: doubt is a test of your commitment. It's a reminder to dig deep, reaffirm your purpose, and keep moving forward. Consistency is your greatest weapon against doubt. By showing up every day, regardless of how you feel, you prove to yourself that you're serious about achieving your goals. Small, steady actions compound over time, creating results that far exceed initial expectations. Take, for instance, someone learning a new language. Initially, they struggled to remember vocabulary and construct sentences. Frustration mounted, and they considered quitting. But instead of giving in to doubt, they committed to practicing for just 10 minutes a day. Months later, they amazed themselves with their fluency. The takeaway? Don't wait for inspiration to strike. Show up consistently, even on days when motivation feels scarce. Momentum builds through action, not waiting. Closing thoughts: focus shapes your destiny. As we conclude this chapter, I want to leave you with a powerful truth: focus shapes your destiny. Wherever your attention goes, your energy flows, and ultimately, your life follows. If you direct your focus toward growth, resilience, and purpose, you'll create a future that reflects those qualities. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the importance of taking ownership of your path and embracing responsibility for your choices. Until then, reflect on this: what distractions are currently stealing your attention? How can you realign your focus to serve your highest aspirations? Remember, the journey to greatness begins with a single step. Take that step today. The power of ownership in personal growth. Taking ownership means accepting responsibility for every aspect of your life, the good, the bad, and the messy in between. It shifts the narrative from "this happened to me" to "this is my story, and I decide what happens next." This subtle yet profound shift empowers you to take control, no matter the external chaos swirling around you. Let's revisit a story that illustrates this point beautifully. Someone found themselves stuck in a rut, feeling like their life was dictated by forces beyond their control. They blamed their job for being uninspiring, their relationships for being strained, and their health for being out of balance. One day, they had an epiphany: what if I stopped pointing fingers and started asking, what can I do differently? From that moment on, they began taking small steps toward change. Instead of complaining about their workload, they learned to prioritize tasks effectively. Instead of resenting loved ones, they initiated honest conversations to mend fences. And instead of wishing for better health, they committed to walking 10 minutes a day. These changes weren't dramatic, but they were transformative because they stemmed from a place of accountability. Ownership doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging reality while choosing to act rather than react. When you take ownership, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start recognizing your role as the architect of your destiny. Of life. Want to read more? Keep books within arm's reach. Hoping to exercise eliminating excuses, a path to empowerment. One of the biggest barriers to growth is excuses. We've all been guilty of using them. They provide temporary comfort, shielding us from discomfort or fear. But here's the truth: excuses rob you of power. Each time you say, "I don't have enough time," or "It's too late to start now," you reinforce the idea that you're powerless to change. Think about someone who dreamed of starting a business but always found reasons to delay. They'd tell themselves, "I need more savings," or "the market isn't right." Then one day, they realized these excuses were simply delaying tactics. So, they flipped the script. Instead of focusing on why they couldn't start, they asked themselves, "What can I do today to move closer to my dream?" They began researching industries, networking with potential mentors, and saving a little extra each month. Progress was slow, but it was steady, and most importantly, it was within their control. By eliminating excuses, they unlocked a reservoir of energy and creativity they didn't know existed. Eliminating excuses requires self-awareness. Pay attention to the stories you tell yourself when faced with obstacles. Are they empowering or limiting? Challenge those narratives and replace them with action-oriented thoughts. For instance, instead of saying, "I'm too tired to exercise," try, "Even 5 minutes of stretching will make me feel better." Small shifts in language lead to massive shifts in behavior. Embracing challenges as opportunities. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. However, the way you respond to adversity defines your trajectory. Taking ownership means reframing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable roadblocks. Consider someone who faced rejection after rejection while pursuing their passion for writing. At first, they felt defeated, questioning whether they should give up entirely. But then, they decided to view each rejection as feedback, an opportunity to improve. They sought constructive criticism, honed their craft, and submitted their work again and again. Eventually, their persistence paid off, and they landed their first publication. This mindset shift, from seeing failure as final to viewing it as instructive, is a hallmark of ownership. It allows you to approach difficulties with curiosity rather than fear. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I adapt and grow stronger? Challenges also reveal hidden strengths. When you push through adversity, you discover reserves of resilience and resourcefulness you never knew you possessed. These qualities become assets that propel you forward, long after the initial struggle has passed. Breaking free from external validation. Another critical aspect of ownership is learning to validate yourself instead of relying on others' opinions. Seeking approval from external sources, whether it's friends, family, or society, can trap you in a cycle of dependency. You end up tailoring your decisions to please others, losing sight of what truly matters to you. Imagine someone who constantly worried about meeting societal expectations. They pursued a career path that looked impressive on paper but left them feeling empty inside. Finally, they decided to reclaim their sense of purpose by asking, "What makes me happy? What aligns with my values?" By prioritizing their own desires over external validation, they gained clarity and confidence. They realized that true fulfillment comes from living authentically, even if it means deviating from conventional norms. Breaking free from external validation takes courage, but it's liberating. It allows you to chart your course based on what resonates with your heart, not what satisfies someone else's agenda. Consistency through accountability. Accountability is the backbone of ownership. When you hold yourself accountable, you ensure that your actions align with your intentions. Without accountability, it's easy to drift off course, rationalizing lapses in discipline or effort. For example, consider someone working toward financial independence. They set a budget, tracked expenses, and reviewed their progress weekly. On days when they overspent, they didn't beat themselves up. Instead, they analyzed what triggered the slip-up and adjusted their strategy moving forward. This level of accountability kept them grounded and focused. Building accountability can involve tools like journals, apps, or checklists, but it's equally important to cultivate internal accountability. Regularly reflect on your behaviors and assess whether they're serving your goals. Ask yourself, am I showing up for myself? Am I honoring the commitments I've made? Surrounding yourself with supportive people can amplify accountability. Share your goals with trusted friends or join communities aligned with your aspirations. Their encouragement and feedback can keep you motivated during tough times. Closing thoughts: own your journey. As we wrap up this chapter, remember this: ownership is the cornerstone of personal transformation. It's about stepping into the driver's seat of your life and steering it with intention and purpose. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the importance of embracing imperfection and letting go of perfectionism. Until then, ask yourself, where am I relinquishing control, and how can I reclaim it? What excuses am I holding on to, and what would happen if I let them go? Your journey begins with one bold decision: to own your life, fully and completely. Take that step today. That's the essence of prioritizing yourself. It's about recognizing that your energy is precious and finite. When you choose to invest it wisely, in nurturing your well-being, pursuing your passions, and honoring your values, you create ripples that extend far beyond yourself. In this chapter, we'll explore why putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's essential. And more importantly, we'll uncover how doing so can transform not only your life but also the lives of those around you. The myth of selfishness: why prioritizing yourself isn't wrong. For too long, society has conditioned us to believe that prioritizing ourselves is inherently selfish, that taking time for our own needs somehow diminishes others. But here's the truth: neglecting yourself doesn't make you noble, it makes you depleted. When you constantly pour from an empty cup, you leave nothing left to give, not to your loved ones, not to your work, and certainly not to yourself. Consider someone who prided themselves on always being available for everyone else. They said yes to every request, sacrificed their evenings and weekends, and rarely took a break. At first, they felt valued and needed. But over time, exhaustion set in. They became irritable, disconnected, and resentful. Their relationships suffered because they no longer had the patience or energy to truly connect with others. It wasn't until they hit a breaking point that they realized something had to change. They began setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, carving out time for rest, and investing in activities that brought them joy. To their surprise, the people around them didn't feel abandoned; instead, they noticed a shift. This person was happier, calmer, and more present. By prioritizing themselves, they became better equipped to show up fully for others. This is the paradox of self-prioritization: when you take care of yourself, you're able to give more authentically and meaningfully. It's not selfish, it's survival. The ripple effect of self-prioritization. When you prioritize yourself, the benefits don't stop with you, they ripple outward, touching everyone in your orbit. Think of it like tending to a garden. If you neglect the soil, the plants won't thrive. But if you nurture the foundation, everything grows stronger and healthier. Take, for example, someone who decided to prioritize their mental health by starting therapy and practicing mindfulness. Initially, they worried that focusing on themselves might seem indulgent. But as they worked through old wounds and developed healthier coping mechanisms, they noticed changes in their interactions with others. They listened more deeply, communicated more clearly, and approached conflicts with greater empathy. Their partner, friends, and colleagues began mirroring these behaviors, creating a culture of openness and understanding. Even small acts, like pausing to breathe before responding in a heated conversation, inspired others to do the same. Over time, this individual became a role model for self-respect and emotional intelligence, proving that prioritizing yourself sets a powerful example for those around you. By choosing to prioritize your well-being, you inspire others to do the same. You create a ripple effect of empowerment, encouraging those in your circle to honor their own needs and pursue their dreams. Breaking free from people-pleasing. One of the biggest obstacles to prioritizing yourself is the habit of people-pleasing. Many of us fall into this trap because we fear rejection, conflict, or judgment. We say yes when we mean no, stretch ourselves thin trying to meet impossible expectations, and suppress our true desires to keep the peace. But here's the hard truth: people-pleasing erodes your sense of self-worth. Each time you compromise your needs to please others, you send a message, to yourself and to the world, that your desires aren't important. Over time, this chips away at your confidence and leaves you feeling invisible. Let's revisit someone who struggled with people-pleasing. They were always the go-to person in their social circle, known for their reliability and generosity. But inside, they felt unseen and unappreciated. One day, they decided enough was enough. They started saying no to requests that drained them, even if it made others uncomfortable at first. They communicated their boundaries firmly yet kindly, explaining that they needed to protect their energy. At first, there was pushback. Some people accused them of being selfish or distant. But gradually, those relationships shifted. The ones that mattered deepened, built on mutual respect and authenticity. Others fell away, revealing that they were one-sided and unsustainable. Through this process, they discovered the freedom that comes from living according to their own terms. Breaking free from people-pleasing requires courage, but it's liberating. It allows you to reclaim your voice, stand in your truth, and build connections based on genuine reciprocity. Practical ways to prioritize yourself daily. Prioritizing yourself isn't just a mindset, it's a practice. Here are some practical strategies to help you make it a daily habit. Set boundaries. Clearly define what you will and won't tolerate in your relationships and commitments. Communicate these boundaries assertively and stick to them. Schedule me time. Block off time in your calendar for activities that rejuvenate you, whether it's reading, exercising, or simply sitting quietly. Treat this time as non-negotiable. Practice saying no. Start small by declining requests that don't align with your priorities. Remember, saying no to one thing means saying yes to something else, often yourself. Invest in personal growth. Dedicate time each week to learning something new, working on a passion project, or developing a skill. Growth fuels fulfillment. Check in with yourself regularly. Take moments throughout the day to ask, how am I feeling? Do I need a break? Am I honoring my needs? Tune into your inner voice. These actions may seem simple, but their cumulative impact is profound. Over time, they reinforce the belief that your well-being matters. And that's a foundation worth building on. The peace that comes from living authentically. When you stop trying to meet everyone else's expectations and start focusing on your own, something remarkable happens. You find peace. Stress melts away, anxiety lessens, and clarity emerges. You begin living a life that feels authentic and aligned with your values, a life that honors who you truly are. Reflect on someone who spent years chasing external validation. They tailored their career, hobbies, and lifestyle to fit societal ideals, hoping to earn approval. Yet, despite their efforts, they felt hollow and unfulfilled. One day, they asked themselves a pivotal question: if no one else cared, what would I want my life to look like? From that moment on, they began making choices that reflected their true desires. They pursued creative outlets that sparked joy, surrounded themselves with supportive people, and embraced imperfections as part of their journey. Slowly but surely, they shed the weight of other people's opinions and stepped into their authentic self. Living authentically isn't always easy. There will be moments of discomfort, doubt, and resistance, from others and sometimes even from within. But the reward is worth it. Authenticity brings a sense of wholeness and contentment that no amount of external validation ever could. Closing thoughts. Honor your worth. As we conclude this chapter, let me leave you with a final thought: you deserve to live a life that feels rich, rewarding, and meaningful. Prioritizing yourself isn't about excluding others, it's about ensuring that you have the strength, energy, and resilience to show up fully for the things, and people, that matter most. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the importance of eliminating distractions and cultivating focus to propel you closer to your goals. Until then, reflect on this: where are you sacrificing your needs for the sake of others? How can you reclaim your time and energy to invest in what truly matters? Your life is a masterpiece waiting to unfold. Start painting it today, with bold strokes of self-love, intention, and purpose. In this chapter, we'll explore how eliminating distractions can transform your life and help you build habits that align with your deepest aspirations. The cost of distractions. What are you losing? Distractions aren't just annoyances, they're barriers to growth. Every time you allow yourself to be sidetracked by something meaningless, you're diverting energy away from your goals. Think about it. How many hours have you wasted scrolling through feeds, watching videos, or engaging in activities that leave you feeling empty afterward? Those moments add up, creating a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Consider someone who dreamed of writing a novel but struggled to make progress. They'd sit down to write, only to be interrupted by text messages, email alerts, or the temptation to check social media. Frustrated, they wondered why they couldn't stay focused. It wasn't until they audited their daily habits that they realized how much time they were losing to distractions. Once they identified these time wasters, they took steps to eliminate them, turning off notifications, setting specific, focus hours, and even leaving their phone in another room while they worked. The result? A steady stream of productivity and a growing sense of accomplishment. Distractions don't just steal your time, they fragment your attention, making it harder to achieve flow, the state of deep concentration where creativity and efficiency thrive. By identifying and removing distractions, you give yourself the gift of uninterrupted focus, paving the way for meaningful progress. Identifying your biggest distractions. The first step in eliminating distractions is recognizing what's stealing your attention. For some, it's digital interruptions like social media, streaming services, or endless email chains. For others, it's environmental factors like cluttered spaces, noisy surroundings, or unstructured routines. And then there are internal distractions, procrastination, overthinking, or emotional overwhelm, that can derail even the best intentions. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. What are the biggest culprits siphoning your energy? Is it the constant ping of notifications? The lure of binge-watching shows late into the night? Or perhaps it's the habit of saying yes to every request, leaving little room for your priorities. Whatever it is, naming it is the first step toward conquering it. For example, someone who struggled with procrastination realized that their tendency to delay stemmed from perfectionism. They feared starting projects because they worried they wouldn't execute them flawlessly. Once they reframed their mindset, focusing on progress rather than perfection, they found it easier to dive in and keep moving forward. Creating an environment that supports focus. Your environment plays a crucial role in shaping your behavior. If your workspace is cluttered, chaotic, or filled with tempting distractions, staying focused becomes exponentially harder. On the flip side, designing a space that supports your goals can work wonders for your productivity and clarity. Think about someone trying to adopt healthier eating habits. Their kitchen was stocked with processed snacks and sugary drinks, making it nearly impossible to resist temptation. When they cleared out the junk food and replaced it with nutritious options, they naturally began making better choices. The same principle applies to other areas regularly. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Small changes to your environment can yield big results. Digital environments matter too. Consider decluttering your devices by organizing apps, unsubscribing from unnecessary emails, and setting boundaries around screen time. Tools like website blockers or app timers can also help you stay on track. Remember, your environment should serve as a support system, not a source of sabotage. Developing discipline to resist temptations. Eliminating distractions isn't just about removing external triggers, it's also about strengthening your internal resolve. Discipline is the muscle that helps you say no to short-term gratification in favor of long-term rewards. Like any muscle, it grows stronger with consistent use. Let's revisit someone working on improving their fitness. Despite setting ambitious workout goals, they kept skipping sessions whenever fatigue or laziness set in. Then, they decided to approach discipline like training for a marathon. They started small, committing to 5 minutes of exercise each day, even if it felt insignificant. Over time, those 5 minutes became 10, then 20, until working out became a non-negotiable part of their routine. Building discipline requires patience and self-compassion. There will be days when you falter, when the allure of instant pleasure feels irresistible. But instead of beating yourself up, acknowledge the slip-up, learn from it, and refocus. Each act of resistance strengthens your ability to withstand future temptations. Mindfulness, the key to staying present. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in multitasking or constantly thinking about what's next. Mindfulness offers a powerful antidote to this scattered state of mind. By anchoring yourself in the present moment, you cultivate a deeper connection to your actions and intentions. Practicing mindfulness doesn't require hours of meditation, though that can certainly help. Simple techniques like taking 3 deep breaths before starting a task, setting an intention for your day, or pausing to notice your surroundings can ground you in the here and now. These practices not only reduce stress but also enhance your ability to concentrate and make deliberate choices. For instance, someone overwhelmed by their workload began incorporating mindfulness breaks throughout their day. Instead of rushing from one task to the next, they paused to breathe deeply and reset their focus. This small shift allowed them to approach their responsibilities with renewed clarity and purpose. Embracing imperfection along the way. As you work to eliminate distractions, remember that perfection isn't the goal. Progress is messy, nonlinear, and often uncomfortable. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and days when old habits creep back in. But none of that diminishes your efforts. Reflect on someone learning to manage their screen time. Initially, they aimed to limit their phone usage to 30 minutes a day. Some days, they succeeded, other days, they exceeded their limit. Rather than giving up, they celebrated the wins and adjusted their strategy for the losses. Over time, their average screen time decreased significantly, not because they achieved perfection but because they stayed committed to improvement. Consistency triumphs over perfection every time. Focus on showing up, even when it's imperfect. Each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your ultimate vision. Closing thoughts, reclaim your attention, redefine your life. By eliminating distractions, you create space for what truly matters, your dreams, your values, your purpose. It's not about achieving a distraction-free utopia, it's about cultivating awareness and intentionality in how you spend your time and energy. In the next chapter, we'll explore the transformative power of embracing imperfection and letting go of the need for control. Until then, ask yourself, what distractions am I ready to release? How can I design my environment and mindset to support my highest aspirations? Your focus is your greatest asset. Guard it fiercely, nurture it consistently, and watch your life unfold in ways you never imagined. The illusion of perfection, why it holds you back. Perfectionism is a seductive trap. It promises control, excellence, and approval, but delivers stress, stagnation, and disappointment. The pursuit of perfection creates an unattainable standard, leaving you perpetually dissatisfied with your efforts. Worse, it keeps you stuck in a cycle of procrastination and self-doubt, preventing you from taking action or embracing progress. Consider someone who dreamed of launching their own business but couldn't bring themselves to take the leap. They spent months tweaking their business plan, redesigning their logo, and second-guessing every decision. Each time they neared completion, they found another flaw to fix. Their fear of imperfection kept them trapped in preparation mode, unable to move forward. It wasn't until they realized that perfect was an illusion that they finally launched their venture. Sure, there were hiccups along the way, errors in marketing, logistical challenges, customer feedback that required adjustments, but each misstep became an opportunity to learn and grow. By releasing the need for perfection, they discovered the freedom to innovate, adapt, and thrive. Perfectionism doesn't lead to success, it leads to paralysis. Letting go of the myth of perfection opens the door to experimentation, resilience, and meaningful progress. The power of small, consistent actions. One of the most liberating aspects of embracing imperfection is recognizing that success doesn't come from grand gestures, it comes from small, consistent actions. When you focus on incremental progress rather than flawless execution, you build momentum and confidence. Take, for example, someone learning to play the guitar. At first, they obsessed over mastering complex chords and intricate melodies. Frustrated by their lack of immediate proficiency, they nearly gave up. Then, they shifted their mindset. Instead of aiming for perfection, they committed to practicing just 5 minutes a day. Over time, those brief sessions added up. They began noticing subtle improvements, their fingers moved more fluidly, their timing improved, and their confidence grew. Small actions compound over time, creating results that far exceed initial expectations. Whether it's writing 1 paragraph a day, walking 10 extra steps, or meditating for 2 minutes, these seemingly insignificant efforts lay the groundwork for extraordinary achievements. The key is consistency, not perfection. Show up every day, even if your effort feels minimal or flawed. Progress is built brick by brick, not in a single leap. Failure as feedback, a catalyst for growth. Failure is often viewed as the enemy of success, but in reality, it's one of your greatest allies. Every misstep provides valuable feedback, helping you refine your approach and deepen your understanding. When you reframe failure as a teacher rather than a threat, you transform setbacks into stepping stones. Reflect on someone attempting to write a book. Their first draft was riddled with errors, awkward phrasing, plot holes, inconsistent characters. Initially, they felt defeated, convinced they weren't cut out for writing. But instead of abandoning the project, they leaned into the discomfort. They sought feedback from trusted readers, identified patterns in their mistakes, and revised relentlessly. Each iteration brought them closer to their vision. Failure strips away the fear of judgment, allowing you to experiment boldly and creatively. When you accept that mistakes are inevitable and invaluable, you free yourself to take risks, explore new ideas, and push beyond your comfort zone. The role of self-compassion in growth. Letting go of perfectionism also requires cultivating self-compassion. Beating yourself up for every flaw or setback only reinforces the cycle of negativity and self-doubt. Instead, practice kindness toward yourself. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and acknowledge your efforts without harsh criticism. Imagine someone working on improving their public speaking skills. Early attempts left them flustered and embarrassed. They stumbled over words, lost their train of thought, and received lukewarm feedback. Rather than berating themselves, they practiced self-compassion. After each presentation, they reflected on what went well. I made eye contact with the audience, and what could improve. Next time, I'll slow down when explaining complex points. This balanced perspective fueled their determination to keep going. Self-compassion isn't about lowering standards, it's about fostering resilience. By treating yourself with empathy and patience, you create a supportive inner environment where growth can flourish. Embracing adaptability, the antidote to rigidity. Another cornerstone of embracing imperfection is adaptability. Life rarely unfolds according to plan, and clinging to rigid expectations sets you up for frustration and disappointment. Instead, focus on staying flexible and responsive to change. Think about someone training for a marathon. They meticulously plan their schedule, mapping out runs, cross-training sessions, and rest days. But halfway through their training, an injury sidelined them. Initially, they panicked, fearing their dream was over. Then, they adapted. They modified their routine, incorporated physical therapy exercises, and adjusted their timeline. On race day, they crossed the finish line, not perfectly, but proudly. Adaptability empowers you to navigate uncertainty with grace and resourcefulness. It reminds you that progress isn't linear and that detours aren't failures, they're opportunities to recalibrate and evolve. Building habits that support imperfect progress. To sustain the freedom of imperfection, it's essential to build habits that prioritize progress over perfection. Start small, focusing on one habit at a time. For instance, if your goal is to read more books, commit to reading just 3 pages a day. Once that becomes ingrained, layer in additional habits. Writing summaries, discussing insights with friends, or exploring related topics. Consistency trumps intensity. A habit performed imperfectly but regularly yields far greater results than sporadic bursts of effort. And remember, habits take time to solidify. Don't expect overnight mastery. Celebrate the process, not the outcome. For example, someone striving to cultivate mindfulness struggled initially. Sitting still for meditation felt awkward and unproductive. But instead of giving up, they embraced the clumsiness. Some days, they lasted only 30 seconds before their mind wandered. Other days, they managed 10 minutes. Over time, the practice became second nature, enriching their mental clarity and emotional well-being. Closing thoughts: progress, not perfection. As we close this chapter, let me leave you with a powerful reminder: progress, not perfection, is the measure of success. Embrace the messiness of growth, knowing that every step forward, however imperfect, brings you closer to your dreams. In the next chapter, we'll explore the transformative power of accountability and how owning your journey amplifies your ability to achieve lasting change. Until then, reflect on this: where are you holding yourself hostage to perfection? How can you release that grip and embrace the beauty of imperfection? Your journey is uniquely yours. Trust the process, honor your efforts, and celebrate the freedom that comes from being beautifully, gloriously imperfect. Ownership as the cornerstone of transformation. At the heart of every meaningful change lies ownership, the unwavering belief that you are the architect of your destiny. When you take ownership of your life, you stop waiting for external forces to dictate your future. You stop blaming circumstances, other people, or even luck for where you are. Instead, you embrace the truth that your decisions, habits, and mindset shape your reality. Think back to someone who felt stuck in a dead-end job, burdened by financial stress and dissatisfaction. For years, they told themselves stories: the economy is bad, I don't have the right degree, it's too late to start over. These narratives kept them paralyzed until one day, they decided enough was enough. They took ownership, not just of their current situation but of their potential to create something better. They began small, setting aside time each week to research new career paths, network with professionals, and acquire skills online. They saved money aggressively, cutting unnecessary expenses and funneling every extra dollar into courses and certifications. It wasn't easy, there were moments of doubt, setbacks, and sacrifices. But through it all, they reminded themselves, this is my journey, and I'm responsible for making it happen. Taking ownership doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging the obstacles while refusing to let them define you. It's about saying, yes, this is hard, but I'm capable of overcoming it. Consistency over perfection, the blueprint for success. One of the most powerful lessons on this journey has been the importance of consistency over perfection. Success isn't built on grand gestures or overnight transformations, it's forged through small, deliberate actions repeated daily. Consistency might not be glamorous, but it's unstoppable. Consider someone determined to write a book. At first, the enormity of the task felt overwhelming. How could they possibly produce hundreds of pages? Then, they shifted their perspective. Instead of focusing on the end goal, they committed to writing just 200 words a day. Some days, the words flowed effortlessly, other days, they struggled to string sentences together. But regardless of how inspired they felt, they showed up. Over time, those 200 words added up. Months later, they had a manuscript, a testament to the power of showing up, even when it felt imperfect. More importantly, they discovered that consistency breeds confidence. Each small victory reinforced their belief in their ability to achieve big things. The same principle applies to any goal you pursue. Whether it's exercising, learning a language, or building a business, the key is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Celebrate the effort, not the result. Progress may feel slow, but remember, slow progress is still progress. Accountability, holding yourself to a higher standard. Another critical element of lasting change is accountability. While consistency keeps you moving forward, accountability ensures that you stay aligned with your vision. Without accountability, it's easy to lose sight of your goals or rationalize lapses in discipline. For example, someone striving to improve their health found immense value in tracking their progress. They used a habit tracker to log workouts, monitor nutrition, and reflect on their emotional well-being. On days when motivation waned, seeing visual proof of their efforts reignited their drive. They also shared their goals with a trusted friend who checked in regularly, providing encouragement and holding them accountable. Accountability isn't just about external validation, it's about creating systems that support your growth. Whether it's journaling, using apps, or partnering with a mentor, find methods that resonate with you emotionally and practically. Remember, accountability is not punishment, it's empowerment. Embracing imperfection, a catalyst for growth. As we've explored throughout this journey, imperfection is not the enemy, it's the ally of progress. Too often, we allow fear of failure or self-doubt to paralyze us. We wait for the perfect moment, the flawless plan, or the ideal conditions before taking action. But the truth is, perfectionism stifles creativity, delays progress, and robs us of joy. Reflect on someone learning to play the piano. Initially, they hesitated to practice because they feared making mistakes. Their teacher encouraged them to reframe their mindset. Every wrong note teaches you something valuable. With this perspective, they embraced imperfection, allowing themselves to experiment boldly and learn quickly. Failure is not a reflection of your worth, it's feedback. Each misstep provides insight into what works and what doesn't. By embracing imperfection, you free yourself to take risks, innovate, and grow. Progress isn't linear, and setbacks are inevitable. What matters is your willingness to keep going. Focus, shaping your future one decision at a time. Focus is the compass that guides your journey. In a world filled with distractions, maintaining clarity requires intentionality. Every decision you make, what to prioritize, where to invest your energy, whom to surround yourself with, shapes your trajectory. Imagine someone overwhelmed by competing demands, work deadlines, family obligations, social commitments. They felt pulled in countless directions, unable to focus on anything meaningful. Then, they implemented a simple strategy. Each morning, they identified their top 3 priorities for the day. Everything else became secondary. By narrowing their focus, they regained control of their time and energy. Tasks that once seemed insurmountable became manageable. Relationships deepened as they invested quality time rather than spreading themselves thin. Focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. Building habits that serve your vision. Habits are the invisible threads that weave your daily actions into long-term outcomes. To build a life of purpose, you must cultivate habits that align with your goals. Start small, layering one habit at a time. For instance, if your goal is to read more, begin by dedicating 5 minutes a day to a book. Once that becomes ingrained, add another habit, such as journaling reflections afterward. Remember, habits take time to solidify. Be patient with yourself, and celebrate incremental wins along the way. Surround yourself with supportive environments and people who encourage your growth. Remove distractions that sabotage your efforts, whether it's decluttering your workspace or limiting screen time. Closing thoughts, your journey awaits. As we conclude this journey together, let me leave you with a final thought. Your life is a masterpiece waiting to unfold. Every choice you make adds color, texture, and depth to the canvas. Ownership, consistency, accountability, imperfection, focus, and habits, they're not just concepts, they're tools for crafting a life that feels rich, rewarding, and meaningful. The road ahead won't always be easy. There will be challenges, doubts, and moments of uncertainty. But within you lies an incredible reservoir of strength, resilience, and potential. Trust yourself. Take the first step, however imperfect it may be. And remember, progress, not perfection, is the measure of success. So, what's next for you? What dreams are calling out to be realized? Whatever they are, know this: you have everything you need to bring them to life. Start today. Start now. Because the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and yours starts right here.